don't want it to be like, was it toxic positivity or whatnot?
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah. Blessed. Too stressed to be too blessed to be stressed. Anyways, or too stressed to be blessed.
That one hit better.
Yeah. But I feel like with the boys, it's kind of funny with kids. I feel like they're just have more open, grateful hearts. But it's like, it's funny, like we'll just be in the car driving and then be like, oh, look at that beautiful cloud or that sunset. Just being able to just like see the beauty in the world, like not necessarily, like small stuff, but the mindset of like there's beauty all around me and there's like really great things happening all around me, I think is like really cool because the boys are like that. They'll be like, or we'll be like, look, they had a Santa in their house, like everything is like so exciting and happy, like makes them happy. And it's like just kind of tap into a little bit of that in my own life, I think would be just helpful.
Yeah. I think.
Welcome to the Bloom Era. Join Marie, Michelle, Vita, and Michelle, 4 lifelong friends, on our journey through perimenopause. We'll share our stories, insights, and laughter as we embrace this new stage of womanhood. Let's bloom together. Why am I so nervous?
I love it. Okay.
But I would never do anything.
Yeah, just be stuck on analyzing stuff.
Oh, what paralysis?
Analysis paralysis.
Yes. You're like, I'm well aware of it.
Maybe. And
no.
This is probably why I don't like to journal, because I don't like to get, like, I'm scared of my feelings for some reason.
Right.
Good segue.
Welcome to the Bloom Era. We're talking about things that are going to make our perimenopause, menopause, old age better. And we've got 7 different habits. We've been talking about each of them. One of them is reflection/journaling. And we're going to pull gratitude in here, this conversation too. But like Michelle said, why do some of us have a hard time journaling or dealing with all of these fraught emotions as we enter this new stage of womanhood? So I'm the one that's got to do this little piece of the conversation. So journaling and gratitude were 2 of the things we wanted to incorporate as a habit as we did our pause challenge. And, I think we were just trying to like look overall at what womanhood is and like a day of being as healthy as possible. And, just the emotional piece of going through perimenopause and the change and everything like that. And journaling seemed like a good way to process those thoughts and feelings and whatnot. And I keep wanting to pass this off and I can. But so
I feel like you're our journaler. Like you're the one who's always been the best at journaling, reflection, whatever you want to call it, like spilling your guts onto something concrete.
Right. And so this is
and funny. I'm fascinated by this.
Well, so what's funny to me is, how everybody probably thinks that the way they do things is the way everybody does things, right? Like on some level, you think you're normal. And then I found out none of y'all have ever journaled. I remember because I texted y'all and I was like, you guys were like, oh, journaling's hard for me. Journaling's hard. That's not it's hard to make time, whatever. And I was like just driving to work, I was like, wait, y'all didn't keep diaries when you were 12? Like legit. Anyways, evidence A.
Let's read a page.
This is hilarious. So Saturday, August 31st, I don't know what year, 97, I bet. I don't know. Me and Diane went to the mall. She spent the night. We got on the net. We met this guy, Art. He totally fell for Diane, or Alyssa. Would never use your real name on the net. It started with this dating game by Princess. Who is Princess? That was my dog. I don't know. We answered 3 questions and were sent to a chat room. Do you know how mad I would be if my 12-year-old told me they answered 3 questions and got sent to a chat room on the net?
Got him Art.
It was funny. Well, that was a lot. I'm making a time capsule because it'll be fun. That was 12-year-old Marie. There's another funny one.
Wow, Marie.
I'm not going to read all of them because I am such a B word. I'm such a B word. But hold on, there's one where I'm mad at my mom, but I really want a TV in my room. It would mean I'd never have to come out of my room. But let's see. Hold on. Those pets. Wait, there was one that was funny. Hold on. There's, wait, here it is. Oh, God. Okay, this is Thursday, and I called it Terror Thursday.
Oh.
So this is good. Oh gosh, today school started. That was the worst day of my life. No details, just the worst day of
Is this
my
middle
life.
school then? 8th grade?
This is like 7th or 8th grade because
Okay.
Diane's in here. So first, my mom is on to me because I don't want to wear these stupid jeans. She's like, if you're not going to wear them, then I'll return them. Ugh, I hate her sometimes. If she won't let me talk and say something. Kevin called too, my second terror. He was acting all cool and whatever. What a jerk. 2 people at this time that I hate. Anyway.
You were dating Kevin at the time?
I mean,
Amy's brother.
which... Anyway, so I have been writing down my thoughts and feelings.
I love this.
It's hilarious.
Mostly because I have a 7th grade daughter, and this is exactly how I know. She's like, Mom, she bought these jeans and I didn't wear them. So she said she would just return them as like, yeah, if you're not going to wear those, I'm going to take them back to the store.
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable thing to say.
But that's how she's like,
I'm so mad at you for making sense, Mom.
My mom bought me clothes.
I know.
Terror Thursday.
Right? But I love
drama.
that you've like constantly your whole life.
I've constantly my entire life like had to and so I think it's interesting that I would journal. I mean, I'm probably going through puberty at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Terror Thursday makes a lot of sense when you think about like all of these new hormones and whatnot. But and I thought I think that it made me realize, like, at least for me, getting those weird, crazy things out of my system. I think of it a lot like how we talked about sleep. Like it kind of pushes and fiber, like it empties your brain, like it gets it out of you. So that energy doesn't stay.
Clearing the cache of a computer.
Yes, exactly. So, and so this has definitely been a habit of mine for a long time. It's what I do when I do feel anxious and things like that. And so we made it part of our challenge. And I was like, well, is there any science reason for why we would do this? I thought a big reason that I think journaling helps, and I used to talk about this with when I did premarital counseling with couples. They're couples that decided on milestones versus slided into milestones were in better positions. So couples that, you're 20 and you get pregnant and you're like, well, we might as well get married. They didn't decide to get married. They slid into marriage, right? Like, and it's not that their marriage isn't going to be good or can't be good, but that kind of just sets you up for, it's going to be harder for you on some ways to feel satisfied in your marriage because you didn't decide to be here. You slid into being here, right? And so I think there's like a locus of control of the narrative. I think that's what I've probably used journaling and storytelling the most for, is like I get to tell the story of this experience. And if I can kind of keep myself in a positive place in the story, you're not a victim when you tell the story. Like, it's not life happening to you. It's you being present and a character in your own life. I have incredible main character. And I think everybody should. I think Shelley's like, what the heck are you talking about? No. But anyway, so I think in a weird way, journaling kind of helps you decide what this season of life is going to be like versus it kind of feeling like a victim to all the changes that we're going through. And, we're definitely at the beginning of this, and we're still like very much in the fertile motherhood season too. Like we're not, but so, like estrogen, again, hormones are playing like a huge part in this. They're fluctuating wildly, and estrogen is a big reason that we make serotonin, which is one of our primary happy mood stabilizing things. And I thought, well, then just take serotonin, or, I'm sure there's some like whatever the things, but it's not just that estrogen makes it, it also makes our receptors sensitive to it. So on both. And so even if you were able to put more serotonin in your system or whatever, your receptors aren't doing what they're typically doing. So it's all just, and then it's a domino effect after that to all the other mood chemicals. So, and so we're talking about journaling and gratitude. Serotonin, you can create that in your brain by activating the parts that feel safe or like you're in control. Like that's a big, the chaos of, so, journaling again it activates that part of your brain, like you're the main character in a story. But anyways, and then it activates feeling control and satisfaction, and so anyways, and gratitude does the same thing. So it's forcing your brain to exercise the parts of its brain. So because I was like, that seems kind of gobbledygook, Chat GPT, like that you could just make it on your own. And it's like anytime you engage the safety or reward satisfaction part of your brain, it creates the the serotonin, those pathways get like opened up. So there's like ChatGPT admitted like we don't know tons about how, but if you see that part of your brain lighting up, which is what part of your brain lights up particularly when you're expressing gratitude, it is a good thing. So anyways.
I agree. I feel like you can shift your mindset. Like if you're constantly thinking a certain way, it's like habits, right? There's habits like that are forming in your brain.
Yes.
If you constantly like the whole, like you're talking about being a victim, if you constantly see things as you being the victim, then you're just going to constantly be reaffirming that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just,
you'll see
it's
that.
the easiest, what's the whole thing about the easiest way to go from it? Like, your brain's going to work the easiest way.
Yes.
And if that's the common connection you get, like, I'm the victim.
Right.
Then that's what it's going to constantly go. If you intentionally try to change that and create another pathway.
Yeah.
That connects it to like a positive thought or something else.
Yeah.
Then it's like, it's going to be easier for your brain to then default to that.
Right.
When you're in the similar circumstance. So I 100% agree.
Yeah.
That. And I feel like I've done that too. Like from growing up, I feel like, being a little insecure and having whatever traumas I had in my childhood, like I had a lot of negative thoughts, and it just took a while for me to be like, okay, like not as angry or not as I'm still emotional, but it's not as like easily triggered and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can change how you think or process information.
Right. No, I mean, I think, and we were kind of talking about this, like me and you were probably like the most emotional of the four of us. Like, I mean, I was absolutely insane in relationships. Like, I mean, like everything felt like abandonment, everything, and, I think you've kind of had the same triggers and whatnot. And so, just fly. And then you guys probably were like, what the fuck is wrong with them?
So many damn emotions.
But yeah, so what do you guys, how did y'all get through? Like, did you feel emotional as a teenager? Do you feel extra emotional now? Like,
I just think it's a little fascinating, like that the journal that you shared with us was the last time you were going through all these big hormonal changes outside of pregnancies.
Right.
But like, women, we go through, this is where hormones change a lot during puberty and then through perimenopause.
Yeah.
Like
both
I
shifts.
think it's fascinating. And I think there's definitely times where you feel that way, where you're like, everyone's stupid. Like you just have those like, because your hormones are not balanced, like, how you get like before your period too, but now it's like even less predictable, So I and the fact that you have been keeping track of like, it's easy to look back and be like, oh, Marie, your mom loved you.
Yeah.
Like she loved you so much. That poor woman, just like wear the jeans. But like at the time, but the fact that you wrote that down and you can look back on that and like it kind of puts things into perspective.
That they were real, like it wasn't imagined.
Yeah, it was a real feeling.
Yeah.
And like what we're feeling now is real. And I think if we could look at ourselves the way we would look at 12-year-old Marie or the way we would look at our own children going through those like hormonal changes, we'd be like, oh, well, baby, it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
Like, so I think like just it gives you the perspective to like give yourself grace. The journaling was the hardest part of this challenge for me. I really struggled with it. The gratitude I enjoyed. I could write down something I was grateful for every day. And that was nice. Like I could feel the dopamine or serotonin or whatever working in my brain when I would do that and be like, hey, the day was, I thought it was a bad day, but actually, I've got a lot to be grateful for. Like, and just writing it down, I think is a type of reflection and journaling.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not as good. And I think it would be healthy for me to be better about reflecting on the things that didn't go so well. Like that were, and just like, I'm upset about this.
Yeah.
Like just taking the time to reflect on it, write it down, or just think about it. Like that was,
I do feel like it's like fiber.
Yeah.
It is.
I was going to say, I mean, it's great that it's paired up because reflection or journaling doesn't necessarily have to be positive.
Yeah.
Right? It could be about like, why did I feel like crap today? Or why did I get angry at my kids or get angry at my husband? It's like, what am I going through that I need to like figure out?
Yeah. But I think that's part of it. I think my problem is, well, if I can't get to the root of it, then I don't need to write it down because I don't have the answers. But I think like looking at this is great because it's like, it doesn't matter why. Like, it didn't matter. Like, looking back, we can be like, oh, yeah, Marie was hormonal. She's fine.
Yeah. I never thought I was hormonal then.
But then, and I think that's fine. We don't have to know the answers now either. But I think I do in order to write it down. Like, I think I have like some perfectionism in me. So to write a journal is really hard because like, you put something on paper, it needs to be perfect.
Right.
And this does not need to be perfect because you're
No.
not perfect and your brain's not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm having enlightenment over here. I don't know that it's going to translate to me keeping a journal.
No, and I don't think keeping a journal is that important. I think I need it because, and we were talking about this a little bit before the episode. Like, I am very I don't know what the right ethereal about a lot of things in the world.
Yeah.
So I think journaling has always been a way for me to ground and kind of come back down to earth in a way. But I don't think everybody struggles with coming back down to earth the way that I do. So like, and I know you didn't have a great, like, journaling wasn't easy. Like, did y'all?
I didn't struggling with the journaling because, again, when I write something down, I feel like I was never a good writer because I feel like I have to have the perfect sentence the first time I write it.
Right.
I don't do much editing. It has to come out well. I do ponder and think a lot, like when I'm driving or just sitting around and like I people watch and stuff like that. So I'm always in my mind.
Right.
Which is, again, I've said before, my mind's always going. I'm always in my mind and kind of thinking, well, if I did this, then this, and if I did that, then why'd I feel this and all this.
Right.
So I don't put it down on paper.
Yeah.
Which maybe I should. Maybe I wouldn't have it in my mind. I could sleep better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I struggle with getting it on the paper, like knowing, is this the right word? Is this the right way to express what I was thinking?
Right.
And then just building the habit of taking the time to write it down because it's not a quick task.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the quickness.
It's not popping a supplement.
And I think
It's not
that's
a
something
quick
too. It
task.
doesn't need to be like, I do think there is, like, when you're studying for something and you actually physically write it down, even more than typing it, there's something about writing words that like does something. But I think it doesn't need to be a sentence. Like, it could be, you could draw, you could just write a list of words. I'm telling all this to myself. I don't do any of this, but I'm like talking through this.
And also, I growing up, I had a sister who was a year younger than me. I didn't want those thoughts
on paper.
Trust, detectable. I don't want evidence available.
I'm not letting y'all look at it. Like, this is very guarded.
It's got stuff about each one of us.
Thankfully, I don't think I journaled tons in high school, but like, I guess during my peak hormonal insanity, I did. But I
didn't want like the evidence of, oh, I had a crush on this person, or I was mad at this person, to be written down to where it could later be found. But I wish now, like, you have a record of how you felt. That might be nice to have those records.
I think part of the reason Marie is such an effective writer is because she's had so much practice.
Like, thought about but and it's funny, he's talking about people in your house reading it. My mom did read my journal regularly, like, throughout childhood. So she's like, idiot, like, ungrateful. No, but and then my brother also read my journal regularly. He was like,
really?
Yeah. Oh, and I told y'all this. Like, I think, like I would write regularly, like, letters to everyone in case I died. Like, I was very into like death and stuff. Not death in like a goth way, just like aware of the end. And anyway, he was like, "You are such a weirdo." Because no 12-year-old should be writing letters to everyone. I'll miss you, everyone. So, no.
Really, you'll miss me.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I don't think everybody needs to write it down. But I think stopping to be reflective is way more important for the chaos and the insanity of this time. And like I said, I think I have to write because I am so woo-woo, and it grounds me. And I think it can easily be tapped into the exercise without a piece of paper.
I'll say, when we started, and I was talking to you guys as part of our like community part about how I'm having trouble with the journaling, and then you guys were like, well, let's just change it to reflection, and just, you know what happens then I don't do it, because then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just think in the car and that'll count. So I do think like having an action would have been good for me. Like, say, like, no, and I don't care if it's one word. Stop and write something. Like, I think like you have to find, and I think the whole part of this challenge was to make it reasonable for you. We're not telling somebody to start running a marathon. We're not saying you need to become a bodybuilder. We're saying move your body, eat more protein, eat more fiber. But it was really easy for me not to do this habit once I changed it to something like, oh, I'll just stop and think every day. Like, then I didn't do it, So I think, but for me personally, I need to have the discipline to say, write something, and it could be a word, but write something.
I think so. I like that. It could be like a word cloud, like you said. It doesn't have to be a perfect sentence. It could be like, oh, I felt happy, a smiley face or a sad face.
Yeah. But I think if you're disciplined to just to like truly reflect, that's fine. But I use that as an out, not to do it. So
Yeah. So one thing that, so like obviously teenage years, things are always happening. Like so-and-so liked so-and-so, like that was a lot of content in here. And I don't think I'd look back at my life and say I was boy crazy, but I now know I was 100% boy crazy. Like
I think we all
the
were.
way. Like,
yeah.
And so, Michelle's like, no.
I mean, I
probably,
had crushes.
yeah. But, and so then adulthood happened, and, you don't have constant
we
news.
don't have good
the
drama,
content, especially like your 20s, like you don't have kids and, that type of thing. But one thing I did was, I'm not going to remember the name, but it's the Artist Way. And so she's got a program. It's like 12 weeks, but the big thing is doing morning pages. It's like to unleash the creativity in you. And that was huge for me. So, she was like, because she talks about this, like everybody's such perfectionist, and you just think too much, and then you get blocked up, and then you just say, oh, I'm not a creative person, right? And so her thing is like every morning you get up and you do 3 unlined pages of just writing, just free thought. Like I literally, and so I do this, and I do this a lot when I'm like super anxious about something. Like I just start vomiting, and it's like, I mean, it's just lines, it's cursive, it's different, but I'm just like, I need to go to the grocery. Goodness, what is going on with this? Like the trail of thoughts, but you just, because it trains your mind to not think of journaling as a assignment or a task. And I think that's where we get kind of stuck is like, oh, this is going to be something that gets read by somebody, or it's something that's like, it's an assignment. It's something I want to look good. I want it to be a real sentence. And we can't get past it because most of the time the only writing we've done is in school. Yeah. And so it's very hard to break that. But that was a very effective way in my 20s because it was like I didn't really have anything to journal. Like I went to work.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stuff going on. But then that just kind of helped untangle those, because I don't feel that anymore at all in any way, shape, or form that like a sentence has to be a real sentence. Yeah. Like it can be. I mean, most of the time I'm like, I feel so sad. I want to cry. And it's not like even like that I'm depressed or anything like that. I just like, oh, that's a feeling that's there and I want to honor it and express it. And but I don't really have time to cry.
I think kind of doing the reflection / journaling leads into, to me, the gratitude thing. Cause you think through like, this was how my day went. And you're kind of summarizing all of that. And you're like, assuming it was not a amazing, awesome, super fun day.
Right.
You get to this and you're like, oh, look at this. And then you can move on to the gratitude thoughts. And you're like, well, there was this little spark of goodness. And, oh, I found a Tic Tac, or something that was sweet.
On the ground, and I ate it.
I'm like maybe a pack of Tic Tacs. It's something sweet. Like there's a sweetness there.
Yeah, I liked the gratitude too, because like in the beginning, you're like, oh yeah, I'm thankful for my husband and my children, and like there's a lot like. Yeah, of course you are. But then when you start finding these little more mundane things that you actually bring a little joy to your day, like focusing on those small things was a cool part of this challenge.
Right. Did you have a hard time reflecting and journaling, or do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing, but just making the time to like, well, do I have an extra 10 minutes before bed to journal, like unbothered, probably not. So that's why it became a chore, like you guys had mentioned, but thinking about it, like maybe just a couple words or a little doodle or something to kind of represent how I felt that day, maybe a little bit more attainable or achievable for me. But I mean, I started writing, but then like I didn't really care so much about it being perfect or good handwriting or anything. It's just kind of like taking the time to do it was really difficult. Yeah. But I think it's good to reflect on the day. Just the good and the bad, like we mentioned, and then like you said, ending it with like, well, what's a good in the day? I think it's really helpful. So I think overall, like the idea of it, I think makes sense, and I could do that. But like actually writing stuff down, was the hard part.
And it felt like a time commitment. And it's like literally it could be less than 5 minutes, but it felt like a time commitment. Something, Vita made these really cool coloring pages in their journal, and I actually did enjoy that.
Oh, you did? Yeah, did you actually color it?
I did. And I would sit there and I would color, and then sometimes my daughter would color next to me. Like, I found that, like, calming. So I enjoyed that. So I guess that's the way where you're stuck. I'm not journaling. I'm not writing my feelings, but, and part of the coloring was, like, she's got this really cool, what do you call it, the bloom wheel?
Yeah.
And you it's like if you color it all the way through, then you felt great that day. If you colored it not all the way through, you didn't feel as good that day. So you can kind of see how your mood changes over the month. And I don't know why I didn't like think of that as my reflection, but that really was. And I did. Yeah. That felt much more doable and relaxing. It wasn't like a chore as much. But I think if I couple that with maybe a word or two, at least, like make myself say, like, I'm really good at like giving myself like a minimum, like, okay, do this, like you need this many steps, you need this. So I think if
why did you color the whole line versus why did you only color?
Or just like, just write something.
I know. And I think that is enough, honestly. Like just taking that time to be like, how did today feel? Like what?
Yeah.
And, and I think just keeping in mind, I feel like that it's so valid that our estrogen is so wonky right now, like insanely wonky. And so you're going to have really good days out of nowhere and you're going to have really bad days out of nowhere. And we're literally on a roller coaster of emotions during this, and so I don't just having that grace for ourselves, like what you were saying earlier, like, oh, I can be a lot more compassionate towards Terror Thursday Marie because like it wasn't that bad, and then you beat yourself up because why did I react that way?
Exactly.
And it's like, it's so, not that life isn't in our control. Like I think that's important for us to know that we are in control of our day and our being, but also we are fighting a pretty big invisible fight with our brain right now. It's like just
so have
crazy.
Compassion with yourself the same way you would 12-year-old Marie or your 12-year-old child or, like.
And also I feel like just checking in like with yourself. And if you notice you're kind of down, communicating that to your support system to be like, hey, today is not a good day. Can I get a little break?
Does that work for you? I've been trying to do that the last couple of days. Like I just noticed like things are getting to me. I'm like, guys, I'm feeling really overstimulated right now. Can we like stop making these loud trumpet noises for a little bit? And they do not listen to me.
Well, yes. But I feel like I get to a point, but like you said, if I was checking in, I could probably get to it earlier. But I get to a point where I'm like, I tell my husband, you need to just take the boys. I need a few minutes to myself.
I think saying that to maybe like my husband instead of just the kids. Like, hey,
I think it's more like your husband.
They're like, I don't even know what overstimulated means.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's more like,
I
need a bath for 10 minutes and you gotta keep the boys away from me for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
I've done that with Matt.
Yeah.
He does a good job.
Yeah. I think if you asked your husband, maybe then he could be like, let's go for a walk or let's go get ice cream. Yeah. Like get out of the house for like an hour if you need it. But for you to be able to communicate that, you kind of have to check in with yourself. Like, I'm not feeling good. Like, I need something or else I'm going to blow up, Yeah. So I think that's part of it too. Just being aware.
Yeah. It's awareness of like, and just looking at your inside. And we spend so much time looking at everybody else. Like we're so aware of like, oh, that one needs a nap or this one needs this help in school. Like, or, husbands are feeling bad at work, whatever. Like we're so cognizant of them and we just really put ourselves. So I think journaling is kind of that, hey, or not journaling, but reflecting and just taking that time out to be like, no, I need somebody needs to take care of me. And it looks like it's going to be me.
Yeah. And by taking care of me, I just mean go away. So I can take care of myself.
Like 97%. Yeah. I want to be the only one I'm thinking about for 10 minutes. And, and that's so valid. And it's.
Yeah. I think I've talked about this before, but it's like on the airplane when they say, oh, put your air mask on before you put your children's on. And I remember having a baby and saying there's no way I could do that. Like, no, I put out my kid first. Like, even though I knew like if I pass out, I'm no good to my child. Like, I really had to train myself because like that just felt so wrong to me.
Right.
Yeah. I was like,
it goes against the grain.
No, you put it on the kids first. But no, you can't because what good are you to anybody if you're passed out or if you're overstressed and you can't function. So, I think that's so journaling, reflecting, coloring, taking a moment is like a great way to like.
And I think ultimately it's mindfulness, right? Like it's meditative mindfulness. Like, and I think coloring can help. Yeah. So it's like, how do you tap into that, zone, I guess, And so, coloring sounds like it works well for you. I need like legit words. And I think it can be just while you're on the treadmill, like thinking about the day. Like I feel like some type of connection between your brain and your body moving in some way is very important. So even if it's like I'm on a walk and I'm thinking about how did today feel or, there has to be congruent. It can't just be laying in bed. I mean, it can. Yeah. We're not going to be bossy. But
no, I think that's really insightful because I notice I try to fill all the spaces, all the silences So I'll listen to audiobook or a podcast or music. Like I never like to be alone with my own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's uncomfortable, but it's good. Like if I am stuck at the gym without my headphones, it's good.
Yeah.
Or if I'm on, especially walks are great.
Yeah.
But I always am listening to audiobook. Like,
Yeah.
And those I still enjoy, but like I think maybe like purposely taking like, hey, if you're not going to write down your feelings, purposely take
a
time.
silent walk.
A silent walk. Purposely take some time for mindfulness. I love that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a lot more studies on how mindfulness is connected to this stuff. I think journaling is just an aspect of mindfulness.
Yes.
Like that's a broader term. But and just to speak on gratitude quickly, I mean, it's the same thing. But I always think of like, I know I've reached like gratitude, like my heart just feels open. Like, do y'all feel like there's like and so I just like, if I can, it's not like, thankful that we have plumbing, like, kind of a throwaway. But I feel like when you meditate long enough that you can get it to like that open heart feeling, I think that's the goal for gratitude daily. Like,
and I think part of it, like when we first started this challenge, I thought I had to sit down at the end of the day and reflect on the day or reflect. And I think like that just didn't work a lot because, I was tired and, so I like just.
It's just one more task.
Find 5 minutes sometime. It can be first, like you used to like to word dump when you first woke up or like lunch or whenever, just find some time for mindfulness.
Right.
I think it's a good way to think out of it for me.
And gratitude, again, I feel like it's just like a mindset. Like I kind of don't want it to be like, was it toxic positivity or whatnot?
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah. Blessed. Too stressed to be too blessed to be stressed. Anyways, or too stressed to be blessed.
That wouldn't hit better.
Yeah. But I feel like with the boys, it's kind of funny with kids. I feel like they're just have more open, grateful hearts. But it's like, it's funny, like we'll just be in the car driving and then be like, oh, look at that beautiful cloud or that sunset. Just being able to just like see the beauty in the world, like not necessarily, like small stuff, but the mindset of like, there's beauty all around me and there's like really great things happening all around me, I think is like really cool because the boys are like that. They'll be like, or we'll be like, look, they had a Santa in their house, like everything is like so exciting and happy, like makes them happy. And it's like just kind of tap into a little bit of that in my own life, I think would be just helpful.
Yeah. I think that's like my favorite part of having kids and becoming a parent is because you kind of get like access to that joy. Like you're like, oh, you're right. That is really cool that everybody put their Christmas lights up in January. Like whatever.
Yeah.
November. Okay. That one. But yeah, like I think that is, and so like, even if you don't have kids, you don't have to, but I think that's been like, oh wow, I have lost that art of this world is beautiful. It's simple. And just to express that joy fully, like, because they don't think like, do I look dumb caring about this? Like, it's like, no, they're just full throttle, like, look at that cow.
It is. It's true.
So, I love that.
And so, and I think gratitude does kind of lend you kind of create what you were saying with the brain. Like, our brain is so desperate to just like do things the easiest way. Like, I don't think we recognize how much it loves easy. But so the more you exercise, like looking at the world that way, the more it gets used to that and it goes there first versus like, well, it takes more effort to find a negative now because you've created such like strong gratitude.
Yeah. And it was so cute. Like Zen, we had put Christmas lights out and like did all that. Like, so he's like, oh, okay. Like we were ready. We're like for them to see, okay, let's go out there and see how great it is. Like not, let's just go out there and look at it. It's like assuming it's art. I already know it's going to be great, but that mindset of like,
I love it.
Like, how great is it going to be? Kind of deal. Not like, it's like,
and that critical. We'll sit down at the end of the day. How great was my day?
Yeah.
How great, or how great is tomorrow going to be?
Yeah. So they're always thinking about like, what searching for the good and the great. But again, like, is there an aspect of like toxic positivity in that? I don't know.
No, because I think like, especially when you were sometimes if you journal and you say like, I feel like crying, I'm so sad. Like, I think you have to acknowledge, like, you can't push down all the negative feelings. You acknowledge. And I think it's easy. Like, you do that for your kids too. Like, you let them be sad, you let them be angry, you acknowledge what they're feeling. And you can't wallow in it. You can't stay that way, So I don't think, I think you can be like toxically positive, but I don't think that's truly positive. I don't think that's true joy either. If you're just like,
I think there's such a big part of just honoring all the emotions that are going on in us right now. And, and there's only so much we can do to control the emotions that are going on in us. Like there's only so much hormone replacement therapies that's going to help. You are going to feel, and even if like you don't have any symptoms, we're still getting older in a culture that says young is the only way to be. Like we still have to tangle our thoughts about those things. So, but yeah, I don't think if you've been, I love it. This looks so great. But on the inside, what is the Taylor Swift song?
I have a great hair. Oh, yeah.
Like the Taylor Swift song,
Exactly.
like do it with a broken heart. Like if your heart is broken, like grieve and mourn and be there with that. You know what I mean? But then also like if you're feeling like, wow, I think if you practice it, like what are things that are causing joy to bubble up in my heart? It's going to keep bubbling up. I think that does grow naturally and organically. Like I think toxic positivity is like, I want other people to think I'm so happy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's like fake.
Yeah, it's almost
Yes, because nobody's really happy all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's just being honest with yourself. Even if you do have to pretend like you're happy to everybody, like whatever, you've set up a life that's like depends on everyone thinking you're perfect and amazing. Like at least inside, like at your own house, like be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like keep up the
Taylor
charade.
Swift was honest. She could write that song. That was honest, even though she pretended it in front of everyone. So.
Exactly. So anyways.
Shelly, you've been very quiet. Do you want to talk about gratitude at all?
She's like, I'm hung out Tic Tacs, y'all. Nothing smaller than a Tic Tac.
She's like, I'm grateful. What's your problem?
No, I think, taking the time to find something, that you're grateful for each day, I think that is a good thing. And kind of like the Facebook memories, like I'm kind of grateful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm constantly like loving those, and the kids like to look back on those, and it's one of things we'll kind of scroll through together and everything, and so finding those grateful moments and the memories and just thinking back on those things, I think is important and enjoyable. Like it kind of, if you're in a bad mood and you stop and think about something grateful, it'll kind of help change your mood.
Exactly.
As opposed to just wallowing in that bad mood.
Yeah.
Right.
And it kind of helps, I guess, change the channel in your brain.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's, and if we're telling you to do it, then you have no excuse. Just do it.
Yeah. And I like what you said about the Facebook memories too, because it's easy to look back and be like, oh yeah, that was a good time. That was, like I'm thankful for that time. But like taking the time right now to be like, this is a good time too. Like, like
yeah.
What's that Andy quote from The Office or whatever? Like, how do you know you're in the good old days? Or
oh wow.
I have no idea what the quote is.
Are you're in them now, or is it?
Yeah, like what if these are the good old days?
Yeah,
what if these are the good old
days? Okay.
We butchered that.
I think we butcher every little like phrase. Like,
I am.
It doesn't matter.
Awful at
Me too. I think if somebody asked like, what would you be more embarrassed about, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if somebody ever saw my like Google searches, like, how do you say this really common phrase? Because I'm like always terrified of like
not saying it.
just sounding real.
Landon's
but
been
we'll
coming
just
home
say
with
whatever on
homework, and it'll
podcast.
ask at the bottom, what does this mean? It's like, I bit off more than I could chew was one of them. He had to say what that meant. I guess they're trying to teach him like turn of phrases, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I had to explain to him what that meant. But they do it on different ones.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That's called idioms. What are they called?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's like he has like an idiom at the bottom of each of his homework sheets. And
Oh, yeah.
I always think those are fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, because it's not something you think to teach your child.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
how do you not know this random turn of phrase that you've never heard before?
Well, I think because you guys both had parents who English was not their first language,
Yeah.
too.
Right.
So, like, I think idioms for you guys
extra.
was very different than,
I agree.
Last night, Everly was holding Kelsey's new baby, which she is head over heels for.
Oh,
And we left. She goes, he was as cute as butter. So, the phrase cute as a button.
Yeah.
And I don't know where butter came from.
and we're not changing it, right?
No,
Shelley?
No.
He will always be cute as butter.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And so I was like, oh yeah, he was,
That's
so
too good.
I love it when they make up their own that are kind of like twists of the ones we've always known.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this was a great episode,
Yes.
ladies.
Thank you
y'all
so
for
much,
talking.
Marie.
Yes,
Yay.
awesome. Good deal.